Boy, oh boy, I do love myself a good dumpster fire, especially there with Dumpster Fire Dan. Mike, you there? You enjoyed the dumpster
Yeah,
fires?
man.
Dumpster fires, I love them.
I guess Bunny's very entertained by his dumpster fires.
Oh,
It's kind of another day at the office for me, but...
Oh, man. So we got a few people in here. A little bit of change of plans and stuff going on. Unfortunately, Mike Bluehair's been put in YouTube live stream jail. So, unfortunately, he can't live stream to his YouTube account right now. So we're stuck live streaming to all my platforms.
I'd like to explain that to the audience for a second.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah, so the reason why I can't live stream to my channel and you're going to watch a upload of this and, you know, I'm denied the possibility of those super chats is a friend of mine, the founder of Multnomah County Cop Watch, Keith Davis, was at a public meeting almost 2 years ago, and he approached our city attorney or head city attorney for Portland. Her name is, I think, Helen, or I think it's Helen Osanach, but she's sitting right beside our chief of police. And Keith starts asking her questions, you know, about a, you know, incident that occurred involving someone on our police accountability board calling him a skinhead. It's really funny because Keith's Jewish. But anywho, so he was asking our city attorney that question, sitting beside the police chief, and Miss Osanach decided to accuse Keith of upskirting her, but he was standing. Keith's like 5'11", and she's sitting down below him. So she tried to say that he's trying to film her vagina and said, I feel uncomfortable, and got up. And you know, I sarcastically uploaded a video entitled, you know, City Attorney wears vagina on her forehead, because, you know, that's the only way he could have filmed her vajayjay, is to be, you know, have it, you know, defy nature and have it grow out of the center of her head. Well, apparently, the city attorney or a friend of hers filed a complaint against my YouTube channel for harassing her, you know. But last time I checked, accusing somebody of a crime publicly that they did not commit is slander and liable. So basically, the city attorney slandered Keith in front of the chief of police, and there was like at least 5 other cops in that room. You know, if Keith would have filmed her vajayjay, you know, he would have been arrested. But that's neither here nor there. YouTube is ran by politically correct cunts, and I guess, you know, I'm paying the price for it.
Yeah.
How dare I criticize a woman?
And as is, I mean, my alt channel almost got nuked. What was it? Right, the same weekend the protest happened there on the 30th, and that took almost a full week through resolve and get undone. Even then, that was iffy, and that had the potential of completely knocking me off YouTube on top of that if I was fully forced underneath those rules. So, I mean, it just proves the point that in order, if you want to ensure protection for your channel and all that stuff, diversify. I always put this out, yeah. And I mean, you got that Steam It thing going, right?
Yes, I do. And I'm having a lot of fun. I'm getting my reputation score up high on Steam It, and I really enjoy the platform. I'm not really making money there, but I'm in it for the connections, and there's stellar people on Steam It. So if you don't know what Steam It is, basically it's a blockchain type technology that's integrated into a social network. So when you get likes and upvotes and people can actually subscribe to your stuff there, you actually get cryptocurrency. So, yeah, I've only made a couple $100 in cryptocurrency from that site, but I just like the format, and I like the idea of my content generating currency that can't be touched by the government, because it is in the blockchain. So, you know, good luck with the IRS ever touching it. It's kind of like having a super duper ultra secure piggy bank, as far as I'm concerned. I'm throwing pennies in it, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, and for alternatives, if you're just doing like video hosting, BitChute's become quite the good alternative right now. There's a Steam It alternative also called DTube that can be used, but of course you got to go through the process of getting the Steam It account up and going, which Holy cow, the waiting time. It took me 4 months to get my account.
What currency does BitChute pay people in?
BitChute does not pay currency right now. They are just starting. They're like they're essentially what was the other one that was out and they collapsed over the winter time? I'm trying to remember.
It was VidMe.
VidMe, yeah. VidMe, they supposedly were trying to start something, but they didn't get that set up. BitChute's just getting started. It's hard to say if they're going to establish, but they got a system in place that's going to reduce their overhead costs, thank goodness, on bandwidth, using a BitTorrent kind of system.
I put about 500 of my videos on VidMe, and they just introduced monetization, and I applied for it, and that's right when their company just went belly up. They just evaporated. It's very sad. Big waste of my time.
Well, I was active on them for a while there. I signed up for the monetization, but it didn't really work out. And for me, it's just more or less another spot to store, easily to store videos. BitChute, if you link it up with your YouTube account, it will automatically take any videos that you upload and publish and do it to push it over on BitChute as long as you time them out by at least an hour.
Well,
it won't do your live streams yet.
I think we're more boring our short attention span portion of our audiences, and let's get right into the dumpster fire, shall we? I want to.
Okay, well, first we got to give
elbow deep in that hot dumpster juice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, first we got to give course proper credit to Techno Axe for the dumpster fire Dan music intro there.
Dumpster fire Dan.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and let's open up with what you witnessed over with the protests and all that stuff going on in Portland. That's still ongoing. The ICE stuff.
Sure. I've gone over to the Occupy ICE protest camp that's right beside the ICE building here a few times. I've gone by for a couple night visits, and there's a few interesting developments. Like, for instance, the whole building used to be completely surrounded by protesters, and I guess the feds were just really, really perturbed by that idea because, well, nobody likes to feel surrounded, you know? We got to think about their feelings, too. But, so they cleared out the outside of the building over a week ago and put up these scale-proof barricades that they use at big summit protests like NATO summit and like, you know, DNC and RNC type stuff. But the city of Portland is fining the federal government because they're blocking the public sidewalks with these barriers. You know, they're supposed to allow access for oversized wheelchairs and mobility people, and the feds are basically roping off with it says caution on it. It doesn't even say crime scene tape or federal anything, like just roping off big chunks of city property and acting as if though they own it and they're allowed to defend it as if though it's some sort of border. You know, that's ridiculous. The last 2 days, the feds have set up these huge light-alls the last 2 nights, these big floodlights, denying people their sleep for 2 days. You know, incidentally, the UN has defined, and the international community has defined, denying people their sleep to be a form of torture. That's really interesting. And then on the 12th, just a couple days ago, 9 people were arrested. They were engaging in passive resistance. What they were doing was laying down in the driveway and not allowing the cars to move through. But I wasn't there, but I've witnessed some videos on Facebook, and I've contacted the original posters, and they've allowed me to share it on my channel. But we're about to watch one of the more brutal arrests I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know if this person is a trans person or a small-framed person that identifies as cisgender, but they're a small person. And this officer dumps at least 15, 20 FN 303 pepper balls directly into this person's center mass, shoulder checks him to the ground, and they transition so quickly from the FN 303 to the taser and just lights them up. And I just found that arrest footage just extraordinarily brutal for the amount of resistance. And what I mean by resistance is I don't even think a resisting arrest charge is going to stick to this person because they're basically flopping around kind of like a fish. They're flailing a little bit. But, yeah, the way those folks are getting treated at the Occupy ICE protest is extremely brutal. And there's lots of fun reports I'm getting. Like when they arrest a female, they'll make rape jokes. You know, I've gotten multiple reports from females telling me that when they get put in the vehicles, the cops make jokes about raping them. And they're basically... the feds are engaging in the same kind of psychological warfare techniques that I saw being perpetrated against the right-wing people at Malheur occupation. The police are going around to the neighbors and, you know, purposely doing things to put the protesters in a bad light. You know, they're trying to turn the locals against them. It's the same thing that was done to the people that was occupying the Malheur bird refuge. It's the same playbook. And what really frustrates me the most about covering events on the extreme right and the left and moderates is that the binding glue that glues all Americans together is the fact that we all seem to love to cheerlead and revel in violence that the police use against our political enemies. It's like a time-honored American family value is the use of force against our enemies. But the thing that people don't get, and this is the thing that annoys me the most, is that when you cheerlead for violence to be used against another American citizen that happens to think or act or live their life in a different way than you, what you're actually doing is begging to have government put its boot on your neck. Because when it comes time for Uncle Sam to step on your neck, it's going to be so much easier because you allowed it to happen to someone else. And I wish people could connect the dots in that regard, Bunny.
Okay, Mike. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to interrupt your monologuing here. Let's go ahead and just hit this play button.
Yeah, man. Smack that play button.
Okay, hit play. Is it... Okay, there. There we go. Was that a giant can of pepper spray being held by the other cop right above the wall?
Yes.
So this guy got... Go ahead.
So, yeah, this person got... I don't know if it's male, the person is male or female because I can't tell from the mask on the face. But this person got center mass pepper balls, like a full volley, then tasered, you know, immediately. And there's this really funny... psychological warfare thing that the cops are doing. Towards the end of this video, you'll see the cop say, "I'm going to count to 3," and he's shaking his huge can of pepper spray. In less than a half a second, after saying, "I'm going to count to 3," because he tells the person to get back, he blasts them square in the face with a huge can of pepper spray. You'll see that in a minute. Okay, but that's totally gaslighting someone.
Let's continue here.
What is wrong with you, fucking scumbags? Fuck you! Shit! Get back! Fuck you! You're not doing anything! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! You're a fucking bastard! You're a fucking bastard! What the fuck is wrong with you?
Kidnapping, bitch! You're a kidnapper!
Taser!
Okay, so I heard the taser go off to the left of this camera. Did he, like, nail someone? Because I saw this the wires out. So he shot someone past that tape.
He shot somebody past the tape and nothing is being... And yes, that's why the wires are hanging out of the front taser.
You're a woman, how can you support this? Shame on you!
Hope your young'un gets done like that.
Fuck fucking race traitor piece of shit! You piece of shit! Okay, if you're not gonna stop, don't worry about it! If you're not gonna...
Somebody smashed this fucking window. kidnapper! Run! See the kidnapping. Watch them kidnap. Look at these officers kidnapping people. They're kidnapping people. They're kidnappers. Look at them. Run away. Watch them kidnappers. Look at the kidnappers. What are you, a traffic cop? Run away! Stay on your fucking property! Stay on your property! We'll stay back if you do! Stay on your fucking property! Get behind the car! Run away, you fucking
I'm gonna count to 3. Squeeze. And you could tell, yeah, he got face full. I mean, the entire lens is almost covered up except for like the upper right portion.
Yeah, that's the extra large can of pepper spray. It's saber red. I can tell by the black label and the writing on it. If people want to Google saber red pepper spray, then they'll get an idea of what this person is going through right now.
We'll finish off the last of this 40 seconds here. Oh man, he's just holding it down like a hose. Like the sprayer on the hose thing.
Yeah, and they're also firing volleys of pepper balls into the bulk of that crowd standing there. And have you seen any objects thrown, Bunny?
Not from this perspective, so.
Okay, just from this perspective, that's all I have to go on as well. But those people are behind caution tape and a good amount of distance away from those officers, and they just keep dumping pepper balls into them.
Yeah, okay, we'll continue playing this.
You got hit with gas. Assault.
All right, it stopped there. Now I'm gonna sort of move this seek bar back a little bit here, and I want to point something out because I seen another perspective of this, but it was only a few seconds, and I want a wider shot. Okay. Now, if you notice, there's a bunch of people laying down in front of this driveway where they're just detained already or handcuffed and all that stuff. They were actually blocking that driveway going into the facility. They're go ahead.
Their official statement by Occupy PDX is that they were passively resisting but laying there. In Oregon, you're allowed to lay there and go limp, and police have to carry you, and it's not considered resisting arrest. So they were laying there as peacefully as they could, you know, and that's what's going on. So when the police arrived, you know, and walked out to them, they had already been laying.
Well, let me try to pull up because it's on...
or at least that's what their official statement says.
Their statement,
you know,
is, but
right.
They were standing up from the perspective that I saw. So
the person that was tackled was definitely standing up. That may have been somebody who was getting too close for the officer's comfort or whatever it is. But yeah, the person that was tackled and tasered and pepperballed and shoulder checked to the ground was definitely standing up. But the rest of them, I believe, you know, from the video I saw, they were laying down. But, you know, we can always revisit this later when we find contradictory stuff.
Yeah, well,
but I'm just saying that.
Well, as I said, I'm checking right now. People are easily seeing. I'm already trying to pull it up because I saw it on Public Freakout. And I was like, oh, so something's going on over in Portland there.
So who is freaking out? The cops or the protesters?
public freak out, and pretty much it doesn't matter. Anybody could be freaking out, and it'll end up on there, or both sides could. Okay, I guess it's not on here. Where the hell did I see it? Oh, I'll have to pull it up later then, or I'll revisit this. But yeah, it's there's things that definitely are being overdone in that aspect, like shooting a guy in the chest and then going straight to like hitting him with the taser thing. That definitely was pretty much an overkill, I think, in my opinion. And then of course the cop that sat there and said, "I'm gonna count to 3," and just opens up with the pepper spray. He's like, "Screw this! I'm just gonna spray you." And then it just hoses the entire crowd. Everybody was past that tape, from what I could see, or standing on the road, but pretty much the same distance from the incident, if not further, than that. Though the order, I think they might have the legitimate enforcement of saying you can't be in the road, you got to get back on the sidewalk, kind of thing. That one, that would be a jurisdiction issue. So.
I would suggest that the police, the federal cops, call Portland Police Bureau's traffic division. Or, you know, it's ridiculous. There's actually rules. If you look in the ORS, there's rules for when a federal cop can detain. Yeah. And I believe they have to catch you physically committing a felony or misdemeanor or something like that. But improper position on the highway, which would be being in the road. As a protester in Portland, I've dealt with that charge, you know, whether it be against me or dozens of my friends and comrades. I can tell you that that is a city violation. It's like no, if they want to bust, but there's a disorderly conduct and improper position on the highway. They like to double whammy you, and then you're in the realm of misdemeanor. But that's neither here nor there.
And what's going on here? That's what the word I was trying to. This is a civil disobedience protest that's going on here. Mm-hmm. Or I mean, they know what they're doing. They know they're gonna get arrested. Yes, but I mean, they're obviously probably gonna try to fight it. I'm not sure how well they might be able to get the charges dismissed because the way they were manhandled. It could cause the prosecutor to say, no, we're not going to push this. In fact, actually, that's sort of what's happened over there in over at the G20 that happened last year, where several people were arrested, and they tried to do mass prosecution for conspiracy and stuff like that. They had several journalists arrested, and I think they only end up getting guilty pleas and convictions on 20 out of like the 100 people, and they started dropping the rest of the cases.
And you know why? It's because that 20 punked out and plea bargained.
Yep, that for the most part, from what I understand, is majority of them plea bargain. On top of that, an interesting thing is there was contradictory evidence and testimony that the prosecutor's office had their hands on,
and the judge was pissed.
Yeah, literally a straight-up violation of Brady v. Maryland. They did not disclose all the information to the defense. Huge, big issue.
It's called suppression of exculpatory evidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, one of the things I sort of emphasize: if you are gonna take this stance, push it all the way, because you never know. You might get out on a technicality, even though you're completely in the wrong.
Right. So. Well, you know, in the eyes of the law. I mean, the point of the tradition of civil disobedience is that you know you're going to be arrested, and you act anyway because of conscience, of a moral belief that you have, and that has actually evolved our legal system in a positive way over years. You know, you can change the system in a tiny little increment, but you're not going to beat the ride. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be pepper sprayed. You may be tasered. You know, they might use pain compliance on you, and it's dangerous. You know, a lot of people think that activism and this stuff is like, oh, they're just a bunch of soy boys, and you know, they're all weak and just dumb little commies or whatever you want to call them. It takes courage to give yourself over to these goons and bullies. Okay, like I would like to see some of these keyboard warriors lay there and let somebody just jam their knees in their back and drag them around, and I want to see them breathe some pepper spray and tear gas, and then you tell me about how weak these people are.
We hear you fapping over there, Mike.
Oh, that's me messing with my medic alert ID. Stop. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was making a joke earlier with Chad about that. So,
well,
I was just
my
letting you know.
report, like. Oh yeah. Oh, riot porn. So on to other things. You know me waxing pontificating on police violence, but yeah, there's lots of other fun stuff. By the way, Bunny, the protest on the 30th.
Yes.
Was that Bunny's first riot?
No, that was actually my second riot.
Oh, it was your second riot. Okay. How did the second riot fare compared to the first riot?
There was more things getting thrown and more brawling. The first riot was at the NATO summit over in Chicago. And that was more or less Black Bloc tries to push the police line. Police line pushes the entire protest down the street.
Right.
With batons hitting anybody that was didn't really matter. They just started hitting everybody and just like get back, and all that fun stuff. I've been in one of those kind of riots as well. Like I've experienced that thing where the cops just roll in with truncheons and just swinging clubs like it's like one of those medieval movies or whatever. Well, the funny part was how stupid some of the press were, or the independent guys that got between the Black Bloc and the police. So guess who was the first ones to get beat?
Well, of course.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here like, you fucking idiots! You don't need to be there.
No, there's places you want to be. You want to be on the wings of the extreme left or the extreme right of the periphery, and there's a void between. There's going to always be a void between the line of cops and the line of protesters. And what you want to do is you shoot down the middle. You aim your camera down the middle of that valley between. That's when you're going to catch all the crucial video clips. If you're standing square facing straight at the police, you're just going to get your camera knocked around and you're not going to get any usable footage that provides any accountability. So go to the extreme left or right side of the protest and shoot down that void where and that's where you're going to get the best video.
Oh yeah, I knew that before I even got involved with all this stuff, because I have prior experience before I even got involved in this stuff with photography and all that fun little stuff. I'll have to do a side story on that on my alt channel there.
I had to learn it by getting.
Go ahead.
Oh, I had to learn it by getting trampled and going, oh, do that again.
Yeah, I never put myself in that situation. I used my head and I got a pretty good perspective. In fact, that almost got me pulled as a sergeant major driver, because I had the balls and the knowledge and the figuring it out of, yes, this is how you're supposed to take pictures when covering some stuff. So yeah,
well, I just got caught up in the whole mass hysteria of it all. The first few riots I was in with a camera in my hand, and I just learned by trial and error.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go ahead and go back to talking about the 30th there. Obviously, we had that one. Let me get... no, that's not it. Okay, yeah. Mike Blue Hair Channel. Let us pull up that other one that you're wanting to talk about. Oh, wait, that's right. You already threw,
sure.
You threw the Discord.
It's the rights fight. Yeah, it's the right fights for their right to riot. And I think we should just watch it and talk about it after. Just let the whole thing play, and then we'll talk about it.
Got it. Give me a second here. We'll put this in here.
And audience, put this on full screen if you can, Bunny.
Oh, it's as big as full screen as I got it without having to really fuck with shit. So.
Gotcha, brother. Okay.
I can make it better, but the problem is it complicates issues, and I'm keeping it on the simplest thing I can work with right now.
No, yeah, just let it play. Hey there, YouTube viewers. If you're familiar with my channel, then you know that I've been covering quite extensively the last few uploads something called the Battle for Portland, or Joy Gibson's prayer rally for, what is that? Courage and freedom? Mm-hmm. Yeah, courage and freedom. Or something I like to call the alt-right's right to riot. Okay, one of the things I'm seeing all over the internet is this really illogical rhetoric being spewed by the people on the right side of this argument that goes something like this. The writer's saying that it's a heckler's veto that, you know, their march was declared a riot. Okay, if you look at Oregon law, that's exactly what went on. I saw at least 40 fights in about 2 minutes. Okay, a heckler's veto actually has to do with government preemptively denying a permit to a group because violence might happen. You see, okay, here's the thing, right-wingers. I've watched you guys scream and bay and beg government to assault, attack, and basically imprison, beat. You know, you've made up excuses for people on the left being put in jail and brutalized by police because they merely blocked the freeway. But you guys seem to be all butthurt about the fact that, you know, your right to riot has been squashed. I'm sorry, but in Oregon, there is no law saying you have some universal right to riot protected by the First Amendment. So this heckler's veto argument makes absolutely no logical sense. Also, I have never seen this much violence perpetrated against people at a protest in Portland, and I've been filming radical stuff here since 2008. So you guys need to check your hypocrisy, folks on the right, and, you know, accept the fact that you were engaged in a pitched battle with Antifa in my streets. Thanks for watching, people.
Yeah, let's do it. Nice try, fucker. Nice try. You fucking slow. You're fucking slow and you're a bitch. Get him, grab him. Come on. Oh, fucking shit. Come on. Come on. Right,
Yeah, let me read that to the audience. The heckler's video argument is not based in logic. There is also no permit in Oregon for riding someone's back like a cat with rabies while eye gouging someone in the middle of a full city block filled with people kicking the crap out of each other. So the right wants to argue that they're defending themselves with, you know, it's self-defense. Well, here's the thing, okay? In the law, everyone has agency. They're responsible for their own individual actions. And I'm sorry, but jumping on someone's back after they just had a boot party and, you know, just been kicked to the ground and just gangbanged with boots, you just saw it. And then she jumps on the dude's back and then she's trying to stick her fucking thumb into the dude's eye. That is some straight gangster, violent riot shit right there. There is no self-defense argument for any of this shit. And I'm not just picking on the right. I saw, you know, as well you too. You saw it too, Bunny. Like groups of Antifa kicking the crap out of people that were on the Patriot side of this argument, like in boot party groups. I mean, this
Mike,
is just
I'm going to stop you right here. And I'm gonna correct you. I'm gonna correct you on the heckler's veto. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Heckler's veto doesn't have to be enacted just by the government and before the protest. It can happen even during the protest. In fact, there is a case law dealing with a teachers union, and I'm pretty sure it was in Chicago. It's an older case law. I think it was like the 40s or 50s, that deals with an incident where the police declared it a riot or something like that, and the protest, because they were peacefully walking down the street, and they arrested at that point. Because I guess there was critics or something getting violent. It's been about almost 2 years since I read it. So,
but
heckler's
this
veto
is an overt riot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a
this
doubt, I agree.
Right.
And I agree with you. I'm just correcting you on the heckler because your statement at the start there does not match the entire definition.
There
of
is some
heckler's
case
veto.
law for and I read that thing from the 40s, but the bulk of the case law is talking about them preemptively denying permits. But
yes.
You're right. I saw that one little bit too, but you know, like I said, there's just no rioting permit process in Oregon.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, from at least the perspective I saw, the only time they could have they would have been able to yell heckler's veto is after the first engagement, when when they first came out, because they didn't. It was mainly the anti-ICE supporter, the anti-ICE supporter, the Antifa group, and the Black Bloc. They went at it. They pushed onto the formation, the marchers first. That's the only time.
They were throwing things first, yes.
Yeah. Now, after that engagement and it was split up, they were continued allowed to march. Now, the two clips that you have here are out of sequence. The first clip that we saw was after the march was declared no longer valid. It was now considered the marching permit was null and void. The second one, the one we're looking at with the chick trying to gouge this guy's eye out here, this was before they took the permit. Well, the permit was still in effect, but right after this was split up, it was then rescinded. This specific engagement was also the reason why it was the protest. Well, the permit was rescinded was due to the fact that in this specific engagement, it was mutual. Both sides charged each other. And that was the main reason. Now, if they sat up a defensive line and never advanced...
they charged.
They would have probably been able to continue marching down that street.
Sure.
Or if the permit was still rescinded in that situation, they would have a valid legal argument for heckler's veto. But because the formation both formations charged each other, they lost that ground.
I agree wholeheartedly. What I saw was two mutual groups engaging in pitched combat. That's what I saw. I mean, is that not what you saw, Bunny?
Well, reviewing all the footage, I didn't show up until after they got split up. Because I was following the rear part there, and I was just catching up to the front area. By the time I got around to that side, they were now splitting it up. And I was right in the middle.
I was right in the middle of it in the bush with, wishing I was back in my Mama San's arms. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Charlie was in the wire. I was right in the shit.
I was right at home, to be honest. I had no problem, especially with the first engagement. Oh, FPS is shooting pepper shots at me? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that was really funny. Like, I saw a row of those things in the air. My camera's not shooting at a high enough frame rate, but there was like a row of them flying past you from behind. I'm like, Bunny, they're aiming less lethal at you. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Bunny's just gonna keep hopping at the pace he wants to hop,
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is the shots were whizzing past my legs to the front and behind me, so they're obviously aiming at me, but they were missing like crazy. I'm just sitting here like, man, I might as well just keep the same pace because if I move faster or slower, they're gonna actually hit me. They couldn't hit me, and I'm sitting there at a perfect. I'm sideways, so I'm a very small target. The best they could probably do is aim for the upper body, where they would have a better chance of maybe hitting my backpack or my shoulder. I mean, at least my chest or arm there. But guess what? I'm wearing a motorcycle jacket that's more padded than my my motorcycle pants, which is so I wouldn't have definitely felt it unless it hit my hand.
Yeah, and just one quick detail. If you click through this video on YouTube, I linked to all the fun links, you know, about Heckler's veto, and the audience can read and research through that stuff themselves. But the point being is, like, the argument on the right is that, hey, they threw stuff at us, so we attacked them, and, like, that justifies it. No, all these individual people participating in this riot are responsible for their actions. It's like saying, Dad, he hit me! He hit me first! I mean, that's not a legal argument. I'm sorry, it just isn't.
You have siblings. You have siblings, right? When you were growing up?
Yes.
Has that argument ever worked in your defense with your parents?
No.
It never worked for me either. So I don't see how this is going to work for them as adults, grown adults.
Right.
They started it first. Oh, man. This is the reason why it was a dumpster fire for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's another protest. Joey Gibson is coming on the 4th of next month to, you know, have a political rally for his Senate race, I guess. He wants to be in Senate or Congress in Washington.
Wait. Blue hair. Senate race.
What's up?
He's coming to Portland for a Senate race. Isn't he a Washington resident running for Senate in Washington?
Yes. Yeah,
why the hell is he coming down to Portland?
Well, I know exactly why, and I pointed this out in the conversation I had last night, and I'll just share that with the audience. Here's the thing. Joey Gibson is exploiting the popularity he's garnering from political violence. Yes, he has a right to bring prayer to Portland if he so chooses. But see, he's sidestepping all the social liability because he's not pissing off Washington voters by overtaxing their police. He's not pissing off Washington voters, the ones that are going to be voting him into office if he wins, by, you know, running up at least $1 million in overtime from police. You know, he's not shutting down the streets and overtaxing the, you know, the dispatch. Like, he's not bringing rioting to the areas that he's going to run for office in. And it's a perfect storm for him. He gets to go into an area like, well, let me simplify it for the audience. How many Oregon voters does Joey Gibson think he's going to impress with his awesome ability to bring riots to Portland, to the point to where Oregon voters are going to move to Washington so they can vote for him? The answer is 0 and none, and that's the crux of my argument against him doing this here in Portland, is that, you know, he's just shamelessly exploiting political violence to get popular, and he doesn't have to worry about pissing off his constituency. I mean, and it's just dirty, you know? Like, I don't think. I'm done. I can't talk anymore. I'm starting to choke on my spit.
I mean, you got valid criticisms. This guy is exploiting another state to improve his standing with his voter contingency, and not costing them money in their own state by just going over the state border and causing a shit storm. What he's doing is essentially he's shitting in someone else's backyard instead of his own. In which case, he needs to be shitting in his own backyard with this shit.
So I can't see the messages, or people telling me.
Huh? What was that?
What are people saying in the comments right now? Are in the live chat?
Not much chatter. I got Joe Black, Bunny Boots Inc. reread the law. The police riot all the time, according to it. My opinion, Lady D49. In my opinion, the police always fear for their lives and shoot, tase, pepper spray people to death.
Okay, right. No, I'm looking at other Discord feeds, and they're not even. I'm like, what? Maybe I shouldn't have had that.
No. You're
before the show.
Discord chat doesn't play into this, man. This is straight from YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. You're looking in the wrong place.
It's distracting me right now, but okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on in Discord right now. I don't even have it up, so I got it hidden.
So, Bunny, I'd like to know from your perspective, what are your criticisms of Portland Police Bureau's handling of the protest on the 30th, the mighty riot?
To be honest, I don't really have too much to really go on. I mean, they did a fairly good job, in my opinion, for being a riot situation. I can't really say they did much on bad from where I was standing at. And I didn't really get in the way or get in, the big heated issues, because it was hard enough for me to just keep up with the formations and all that stuff going on. By the time it was still going on after I ended the stream for a little bit in various other parts of town, but I could not move. I was down. I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm going to call it quits.
You know what might be a good option for you, because I know you walk with but I have a really nice mountain bike. On the 4th, when you come to film the protest up here, if you do it, I can loan you my mountain bike, and we could mount your camera to the front of it, like, so you can live stream from the stability of the bike's handlebars, and that might, get you in better position to document better.
I don't know if that would work out, because I prefer to be mobile on foot, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did any kind of wheeled conveyance, it would probably be a wheelchair.
Okay. Well, you're more than welcome to, when you're here, borrow my one, as long as you don't drop it more than 4 times. There's a 4-time drop limit. So.
Okay, got it. Yeah. It's not like I really drop bikes anyway, but I can't guarantee the police might try to drop it.
Well, if you're filming a protest and there's something compelling, you might want.
Well, you know how fast I moved. While I was moving in and out of the crowds and all that stuff, I wasn't exactly, how should I put it, running much within it. But yeah, I just got the footage sort of from my perspective, what you could see playing in the background. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll definitely try to get up there for the 4th there with the whole the next round, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be another dumpster fire. We'll be on the various speculative people's talking thing with all this stuff that flying around up there in Portland.
I have a message for you from Arnie.
Oh.
Yeah, out of all my friends, you taste second best. Bob is his favorite, but he likes giving you puppy facial more than he likes anybody except Bob. Just so you know.
Oh, and that reminds me. I forgot to mention, I ask you. I noticed on one of your recent videos there, you have a canine companion who was getting outfitted.
Yeah. Yes. I've bought a miniature tactical mole vest for Arnie the Chiweenie, Film the Police Portland's Canine Unit, and I'm planning on buying another lens on a post for my police body camera. So I'm going to be doing split screen cop watching videos with my Canine Unit. So I'm going to have the body camera mounted on our, be able to see doggy cam. So, from behind his big giant Anubis-like ears, you're going to be seeing cop watching in the split screen. So to say, a little graphic will say Canine Unit on one side of the screen and then my main camera on the other. I'm just so excited to get Arnie out there. But I'm not going to be shooting protests with him, I don't believe.
Yeah, he's too small for it. I would love to see him do protest stuff, but he's too small. He would get stepped on. I would fear for his poor safety.
Yeah, he would get stepped on and I would go to prison.
Animal cruelty for bringing a tiny dog to to a protest.
Mike does not like violence. Mike does not condone political violence. That doesn't mean Mike's not good at it.
Yeah.
That just means that Mike prefers not to. If anybody hurt my dog, I would lose it, and I would definitely be going to prison if I'm caught. If I'm caught for what happens over the next 30 seconds, if somebody hurt Arnie, it would be not good for them. Wouldn't work out well for him.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and Spy Team Satan has a good thing. Help Bunny Boots buy a mobility scooter. Donate today. Spike, you say, Arnie, the upskirt camera dog.
Oh, that's great. I gotta tell Keith that. Oh my God, now.
Oh man, that's
great. Thanks for that. Now I'm. Oh man, don't give Portland. Hey, thanks a lot. Who was that said that?
Spy Team Satan.
Yeah, it's Spy Team Satan. Thanks for giving Portland Police Bureau's Criminal Intelligence Unit something to use to arrest me over later. It's just precious. Thank you so much.
But yeah. Anyway, speaking of raising money there. I do have
bail for my sex crime hearing. You know?
Oh man, you're gonna get Son of Hightowered at this point.
Yeah, they're gonna Eli me. Don't Eli me, bro.
Oh man, but I'm still trying to raise money for the event over there in San Antonio, over at Leon Valley. I don't think it's gonna happen. I only got $25 out of like the $1,000 I was trying to aim, so I can do that. Literally, I would need $400 minimum just to make the trip last minute, and that's me buying a bus ticket on Greyhound and spending 2 and maybe a half days on a Greyhound bus going halfway across the country. So I just, yeah, go ahead.
I want to complain and cry for about a minute and a half. So tell me when a minute and a half's gone by, Bunny. Okay, mark the time. So
go.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. So my YouTube channel has 17,000 subscribers. Last month, I made nearly 400 new subscribers. I'm uploading videos that get like, 500 views if I'm lucky. So I'm literally getting about 1% of my subscribers, people that subscribed on YouTube in good faith, to say, I want to watch Mike Bluehair's videos. So I have to be on some FU list in YouTube land, and I'm starting to get real sore about the round muscle. Okay, end of crying and complaining.
Okay, good. That only lasted 30 seconds. Well, 34 seconds.
Nice. Cool, I just got that in there.
Yeah, but anyway, that is still going on. But just to give everybody a heads up with the event, it is going to happen this Saturday, and if I remember correctly, it's going to be from I'm pretty sure it's like 11 to 1. It is going to be the event over in Leon Valley. We haven't announced the meetup location yet. That will probably not be announced until maybe a day before, because of potential issues with Leon Valley and some of the stunts they'd like to pull. So just giving you guys that a heads up. I am still trying to, I'm helping organize that, trying to get that going and all that stuff, making sure proper people are going to be in charge. I still got to finish putting together some additional things for that. It's not an easy task, especially when you're not there, and you have to depend on other people to make things happen and all that stuff. But people want to show up and do this event, and that's part of the reason why I'm helping organize it, so this way there's a little bit more organization compared to last time, which, yeah, that really sucked how that all went down. Hopefully there won't be a repeat, but you never know with that police chief. We do know they're in a lot of trouble.
Since everybody and their grandma in the town of Liberty talked about Leon Valley, I just want to do like 4 little sentences. Okay. My observations. First of all, when people make pejoratives and they're like, these cops are acting like Nazis or whatever, and people just discount it. I mean, people are saying that, arranging a press conference and then arresting a journalist is something right out of Soviet Russia. And in this instance, they're not exaggerating. This is like something you would imagine in Soviet Russia. And secondly, that sheriff is a low-rent, low-IQ, 80 IQ moron. Like, he's just so stupid that it beggars belief.
Well, actually, he's smarter than the one over in Olmos Park, and he's a police chief.
Right, but it's not saying all.
I know. I've seen him pull some smart moves here and there, but then he goes and does a 180. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, I thought he was a little bit smarter than this. Come on. You were doing so well at playing the PR game, and then you go and do this stupid shit. How could you fuck it up so bad? I got tons of commentary I'm gonna be doing for the next 4 months on
the
Leon
big
Valley.
cities. The big cities, like the metropolitans, hire public information officers that are paid to propagandize like pros. Our former public information officer here in Portland made $175,000 one year with overtime. Like,
dang.
They really manage PR very well in the world of propaganda in the larger cities. Like, it's, they just my Facebook is all they do. That, all these small towns and suburbs of places like Dallas and Fort Worth and Austin, they're just like, we'll just run a police Facebook page and, have people that like us post on it.
Speaking of Leon Valley, there is an important thing that we need to pull up and address that I know a lot of people do not know about. Let's see here. And Teresa R., she's been doing a great job of covering some aspects that is not expected. And this is something that we are going to want to hear. Without a doubt. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into my circle here. And
I'm all ears, brother.
Oh, yeah. And this is one of the things of when it comes to public records requests and stuff like that. She does a great job. And why it needs to be covered. This is going to be important here, so.
And you're the city attorney, right? And you're saying that these people that represent the citizens aren't allowed to answer questions of people when they ask?
They have the responsibility to answer any questions.
Okay.
So, if you want records, well, you can file an open record.
Well, I've done that, and I haven't heard anything back.
Well, it takes time to do it.
What is it? The law says you guys have 7 days or something to respond? Because it's been longer than that. And I'm just curious as to whether or not there's an investigation that's going on.
She's already told you. She can't talk about it.
Okay, I'm talking to her. Thank you. Appreciate it. She's the attorney.
You don't know? I can't.
Are you asking me to leave?
Yeah, we'll leave it. Everybody, so we have to empty this. Okay?
We'll follow her out. No problem. Not allowed to ask questions of the city council here. That's odd.
Yes, sir. Okay. Just wait a minute.
That's okay. I'll just wait behind everyone else.
No. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
She's going to follow the city council out.
Thank you.
You're wearing high water pants? Yeah.
So none of you guys can tell everybody what is going on with the fire chief, or why you're having an executive session, and why you're discussing personnel matters, and what kind of investigation costs $20,000? That's not something that any one of you city council members can answer. Accountable to who? Who are you accountable to? Look at them ignoring. This is how they ignore people. Look at that. Keep a lot of secrets here in Leon Valley. Keep a lot of secrets here.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there. Did you hear exactly what she said in that last part?
You mean they keep a lot of secrets here in Leon Valley?
Well, before that,
what kind of investigation would cost, and what's going on with the fire chief?
Yeah, and here's the kicker: they spent the $20,000 before they asked for it from the city. They already spent it.
Oh. That sounds like some classic government tyranny there.
Yeah. Leon Valley, a small city, they're doing an investigation into the fire chief and I think the assistant fire chief, according to Teresa here. She's been going through the paperwork. This is why I really recommend at least subscribing to Teresa's R. Thank you, Spy Team Satan, for posting that into the chat there. And checking her out and just keeping loose tabs on her activities, because she does the boring stuff. She goes in and does paperwork, public records requests. She goes and attends these city council meetings and tries to get information. Stuff I do occasionally, every now and then. But yeah, $20,000 already spent before the city the city even approved it. That is a big issue.
Go and tell her thank you. You know, at the very least, a lot of these activists that work for free, they're not getting paid jack. You know, tell her thank you. I mean, I thank her from the bottom of my heart for spending hours doing research to further the cause of liberty.
And this and this video's only got 669 views, and she's only got 7,000 people subscribed to her. So I mean, she's not doing the exciting stuff. She's going and doing the boring stuff, and this is stuff that needs to be tackled too. This paperwork stuff is just as important. Like when I sit down and I look up places, or I'm sitting there going through phone call recordings and stuff like that. It's boring. It's tedious. There's no entertainment. I mean, there's barely any entertainment value in it unless you find a gotcha that it's like, oh, I have the holy hand grenade of kicking your argument to the curb kind of thing. Like what with that one audio recording that I have from Springfield Police Department, with a dispatcher saying that I was trespassed from my high school that I never stepped foot on. As is,
I like how they kept.
Go ahead.
What I like is, I'm disgusted by the fact that they keep trying to throw the kid stuff in there about you. They're like, oh, it's a school, or like trying to infer the police are that you're some kind of freaking pervert, you know. Well,
as I said, they can throw all kinds of defamatory statements in my direction, but I think obviously I'm going to have the last laugh in the end, especially when this criminal case completely blows up in their face.
Well, sure, but as a fan of your work, I mean, yeah. I know you're the furthest thing from some kind of perv, you know.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I get the thing is I'm all over the place on many kinds of issues. And how it pretty much, when you look at it overall, my general stance is freedom of speech, freedom of rights, very libertarian-esque in that, even though I'm very centralist when it comes to my actual political leanings on for laws and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But yes, I do stand for civil rights. I stand for, I mean, what you doing in your behind your damn doors or whatever, as long as you're not hurting people, you're good. But yeah, as is, this is nothing new with people trying to slander me, kind of shit. But the thing is I got plenty of evidence proving otherwise, and you're like, yes, continue spinning your tires in the mud, because as is, I'm gonna have the last laugh as I tear apart your arguments and have it well documented in the court records, or at least documented in my records as I record the court sessions. Since the Springfield Municipal Court there is not a court of record technically, and so I'm still actually learning the whole process on that aspect. So it's quite interesting.
If it's not a court of record, good luck getting trial transcripts.
Oh no! Actually, here's the funny thing. If I understood the short conversation I had with the attorney, when we go to appeal it, the entire case gets retried, but it's on a record court. So technically, I get to start all over again with the trial, but in front of an actual recorded court for in that aspect. So, and then I get to go to the Court of Appeals and all that fun stuff. But still, nonetheless, go ahead.
Eli Ritchie's at his trial, when he had to face the city attorney versus him in front of the judge for his alleged stalking of our police chief Daniel Outlaw, we requested audio transcript of the trial 3 different times and got 3 different parts of the audio each time, and we still don't have all of it. Like, it's ridiculous.
And that's that's part of the reason why I also filed I filed to say, hey, I want to record my court case independently of that. And I don't think the judge is going to deny that request.
Well, they denied our ability to record Eli Ritchie's case.
Well, and in which case, that's at that point, that's when you get a stenographer in there. Expensive as fuck! Yeah. But, you know what? Having a stenographer, I mean, depending on how big of a financial impact, it might be cheaper in the long run. Having your own independent one. Because I think they charge almost $100 an hour or something like that. They're not cheap.
Oh, yeah.
But I've actually passed by a couple, 1 or 2 offices here in Eugene, just wandering around, that actually dealt with like court recording, or there was stenographer offices. So I'm like, ooh, so if I really need to push that issue, I can go and hire them. And oh my god, I'm going to be royally fucked in the pocketbook at that point. So.
Because in those cases, that's a civil matter.
What, the stenographer hiring that? Yes, it would become that.
Yeah, in a stalking hearing like what happened with Eli, that's civil. So if you lose, you pay all the bills.
Oh no, what I'm being charged is criminal. So
right. Yours is a criminal offense. That's right. Yeah. I was thinking of Eli's case. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, and it would be funny if they actually if the city lost the criminal and they tried to pursue me in the civil courts. Oh man, because that would be quite the interesting aspect even further on that. But I don't think they're going to push it that far. But you never know. I mean, this city just recently, 3 years ago, had to settle a lawsuit for chasing a cop out of their ranks, a whistleblower, and they ended up settling for $200,000, including attorney's fees. In that there. But let's go ahead and move on and cover some more stuff. And my back's starting to act up, so I think we'll sort of cut this about a half hour short. Mike?
All right, brother. I'm totally good with that, because I'm going to have a little sleepover at the Occupy ICE protest tonight.
Oh, goody. Make sure you bring like a blindfold or something like that, and maybe some earplugs, since they're harassing you guys. Harassing the Occupier guys. Well,
I used to be homeless, and one of the places that I used to camp out is underneath a train bridge that a freight train would go over. And I'd conditioned myself to sleep having this freight train about 15 feet away from me, at random hours through the night. So I'm pretty sure I'll be just fine. Okay.
Well, keeping on the whole ICE topic here and getting back on board, I got something interesting that you're going to be quite surprised by. As I
surprise me, buddy.
Here we go. Mainstream media is covering something that we've been dealing with for years.
Drivers stopped on major highways, interrogated. The reason? Border security. It's happening right now on the U.S. border with Canada. Martin Savage is out front.
Driving down I-93 in New Hampshire, about 80 miles from the Canadian border, Justin Summers runs into a checkpoint operated by the U.S. Border Patrol. He starts recording. The Border Patrol agent tells him if he wants to keep driving south, he has to answer a question.
Are you a United States citizen?
Summer tells me he resented being stopped and interrogated.
I indicate, hey, I don't want to answer these questions. I'd like to be on my way.
That didn't happen.
Okay. You're somewhat familiar with at least the ones down south. What happens when we usually say we refuse to answer your question to inland border patrol checkpoints?
Well, they try to get you to pull over in a secondary so they can just warehouse you there and torture you by making you stay there for a long time. And they'll also threaten you, coerce you, bring out a dog to smell your car and lie and say it alerted, and then they have an excuse to harass you further. But that's usually how it works. So he's probably going to say, can you pull over to secondary?
Well, the thing is these are secondaries only really happen to the checkpoints in the south where they actually built a physical secondary. There is no secondary on the side of the highway.
Oh, so this is just some jag-off beside the road in a stupid vest?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is there is no inland border checkpoint, permanent inland border checkpoints established in the north. This happened in Maine, well, this happened in the New England states.
My first thoughts are the ACLU did some really great legal research, and they found these things called constitution-free zones. And the federal government claims the right to set up these checkpoints anywhere from 50 miles from the edge of the border and the oceans. So that's about 80-90% of the population. So they're going to cover that these things are constitution-free zones. Yeah.
Stop. Let's get to that point. Let's continue, and then we'll come back to that, because you're also wrong on one part of that, and you'll be corrected.
That's what they claim. Okay, they claim a constitution.
This is the area of the checkpoint. Justin Summers says when he refused to answer the agent's questions, they detained him and said they would hold him until he told them what they wanted to hear.
But the thing is that would be a big issue of violation of Terry v. Ohio.
Sure. Is this a Terry stop? I don't know.
Yeah, let's continue.
In other words, indefinitely. The message to you is, if you don't answer this question, we're going to hold you on the side of the road here until who knows when.
Exactly. It's kind of an intimidation tactic, I think.
So I need you to pull over there?
A tactic critics say is happening more frequently and far away from the U.S.-Mexico border, which has been at the center of attention when it comes to immigration. This is another checkpoint in New Hampshire Memorial Day weekend, and this was Maine just this month.
If you want to continue down the road, yes ma'am, we need to know what country you're a citizen of.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals are being stopped, detained, seized, and interrogated without any reasonable suspicion, without any probable cause that a crime has been committed. And that's really not how our Constitution works.
You have anybody in the trunk?
The American Civil Liberties Union calls the checkpoints illegal and blames the Trump administration's zero-tolerance immigration policy. And you don't have to live near a border to run into a checkpoint. By law, border agents can work up to 100 miles from the entire perimeter of the country.
100!
It's 100. They've changed it. The first one in 2008, I believe, was 50. They've actually upped the ante.
Nope, it's always been 100 pounds. And
really?
yeah.
All right. So my dyslexic ass remembered the numbers wrong. Then sorry about that. My bad. It's 100. That's the bulk of the U.S. population. Then it's wow.
Let's hear what they got to say on that. That's going to be announced within the next 60 seconds.
Two-thirds of individuals living in the United States actually fall within this 100-mile region.
It gives us a chance to.
Let's see, 2/3. Now let's do the math on that real fast here. Let me get my calculator out here. Now we got roughly about 350 million people in this. So that's roughly 60% of the population.
60%, okay.
Yeah, it's 2/3, 60%. That's 210 million people that would live within this zone.
Right.
200.
You know what this is? This is normalizing tyranny. It's going to start off with a little innocuous question, and then it's going to be like, hey, car that we should know about. You know, it's going to condition people to just, you could just say I'm a U.S. citizen, you'll be on your way. But it's not going to end there.
Yes, okay. Well, we'll follow up with something local in our area too after this. So let's continue here.
See what's going on in our case, what's going on in our area.
Sector Chief Dennis Harmon says the checkpoints aren't random but based on intelligence. He sees the questioning and detention of Americans as a minor inconvenience.
It's
a minor inconvenience.
You know what I say? When a tyrant puts a toe on your porch, smash it with a hammer. That's what I say.
Yeah, okay, Spy Team Satan corrected me. 66%. Still, 60%. I gave a close enough number, 210 there. But a minor inconvenience. Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are the Canadians coming over the border as illegal immigrants is a major issue right now, do you think?
No.
Last time I checked, there was quite a few immigrants going through the United States and going to Canada to get out of the United States.
There is no mass migration or any large migration of people coming south from up north above us. That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just dumb. And okay, no, this is the totalitarian tiptoe. They're like, I want your whole front yard, and you're like, I'll compromise. I'll let you have, like, you know, just a little corner of the front yard. I want your front yard and your porch. We'll compromise. I'll give you half of my front yard. You know, they keep going and going and going and just tightening the noose around our civil liberties neck just a little tighter and tighter as time goes on. And eventually we're going to, you know, get strangled if people don't start to wise up to this crap. It's like, I'm not giving up my civil liberties.
Yeah, it's like the Second Amendment. Okay, we'll get rid of the scary guns. Okay, we'll get rid of the handguns. Okay, we're just gonna get rid of anything that uses black powder. Next thing I know, I have to dull the tip of my butter knife in order to not be potentially using it to stab people. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be the damn UK here.
Yeah, you know what? Like, the best argument against these gun-grabbing politicians would be, okay, then you fire your Secret Service detail, you fire your private security, and arm them with the slingshots. If guns don't make people safe, have your security use slingshots.
Yeah, I just sit here like, why are we needing to set up Border Patrol checkpoints in May if they're going north to Canada? I'd rather they just continue on and go to Canada. They're willing to take them anyway. Go ahead.
Because if you research COG or continuity of government plans by the U.S. government and some of these other fun conspiracy theory things that I'm a massive fan of, I've never met a conspiracy theory I didn't like. Any of the who, if there is a economic collapse in the United States, there will be a mass migration, but it won't. You know, north to south, or south, it'll be from south to north. Like, we will be trying to go into Canada if the economy collapses here. Believe you me.
Oh, fuck Canada. I'm going to Alaska. Screw Canada. I don't want any... Huh?
The Northern Territories are nice. They're expansive. There's pretty. There's plenty of bears to eat me if I, you know, leave my food out. I mean, I could have lots of...
Yeah. But yeah, oh, Joe Black. Hey, God, what's wrong with the UK?
Everything.
Count Dankula is a good example right there. Tommy, what's his name?
Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson. Yeah, what's happening to him and some of the bullshit. Some of it's justified with the initial part that he got in trouble for. What happened afterwards, why he's in jail right now, is complete bullshit, in my opinion. But go ahead,
I'm not even a right-winger. I'm not even a right-winger, and I don't support a lot of the stuff that comes out of Robinson's mouth. That said, I believe the man's incredibly brave, and he is fighting for people's right of freedom of expression. And to answer the question, what's wrong with the UK, one law in particular would just make me illegal. Breach of peace. Like, you could, any use of language that makes somebody feel alarmed, no matter what it is. Yeah, I like Fruit Loops, and like, if somebody's offended by the fact that you like Fruit Loops, you're going to jail in the UK.
Oh yeah, they're free. Well, the thing is I definitely be going to jail. Some of the shit talk that I do on the internet, oh yeah, they would have me locked up. Especially some of the shit talk I say to the cops online.
They would put you in a cage so small that your fur would be sticking out, Bunny. Your fur would just be sticking out of the cage bars.
Oh yeah, I'd be sitting there nodding my way through the bars to get back at him. You can't contain me. I'm the rabbit. That reminds me. Go ahead.
You know, here, one quick thing, and I'm not exaggerating at all. There's no free expression in the UK. If you want to have some real fun, Google the girl that was arrested for making, and I quote, a cheeky little growl. This woman made a growling sound at a cop in the UK, and they arrested her for breach of the peace. A growling sound! What next? Conspiracy to breathe in an aggressive manner?
Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure it was in the UK also. A guy got arrested and was convicted for a racist revving of his engine.
Wow.
Yes, he was revving the engine of his vehicle, and the people complained saying it was they thought it was racist. That is a problem right there with the UK. Yeah, I enjoy my freedom of speech here. Yes, I know the United States is not perfect. Yes, it has a lot of problems. But for crying out loud, I can go ahead on the internet and say all kinds of stupid shit, and I'm not going to get arrested for it because someone was offended.
Amen. Preach it, Bunny. Preach it.
That is the one thing I'm happy about, and that's one thing that Europe needs to get its act straight on. Oh, especially with that whole bullshit with the copyright. Oh my God!
It's part of the American experience to be proud and to be allowed to be an asshole. You know, and if you're going to be an asshole in America, biggest, juiciest, mountainous, like planetoid size of an asshole, and that's your sovereign right. As an American, like talk about it as you will, but we have a right to be an a-hole in this country, and I think it's beautiful.
And a dick, and I'm more of a dick than an asshole, so I like fucking with people.
No, let's not go Team America on it.
Team America, fuck yeah! But. A Bill of Rights has got it stated. No country has freedom of speech like the U.S. That is very true. I have yet. I think there's maybe one or two countries that have come close to us, but no one actually surpasses us in that, especially when it comes to case law that protects it. So, and I mean, and for me, I'm also an avid practitioner of that freedom of speech. I mean, what was it? That city borough meeting when I got interrupted for trying to make a point. And then my ending after meeting, little announcement right there. Yes, people were offended by that, but there was a method behind the madness. There was a reason why I did that. I am sort of like Jack, Texas Sheepdog. If I'm going to use foul language like that in a certain way, it's usually there's a reason behind it, and it's usually a part of a civil rights exercise. There's a method behind the madness. Yes, people get offended, but you know what? You have a right to be offended, just as much as I have a right to be offended by some people that come after my shit that I'm interested in and try to ruin it. And yes, I do criticize those assholes back. That's going to be part of my alternate channel 2 stuff when I start rolling in that. But
we should do a free speech project called "Welcome to Planet Cunt," where cunts try to ruin everything.
We could put it on BitChute too, and then maybe have it all. And then maybe have an alternative channel that's behind like 5 proxies, and so this way it's not really tied with us when it gets killed off, because YouTube obviously does not like it.
And from my beautiful snowflake of a perspective, cunt is gender neutral. Okay, most of the big flapping, juicy fucking cunts happen to be male.
So true. Okay. But anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and then we'll talk about the local thing before we end this.
It's no more of a stop or inconvenience than you have at a traffic light.
Wait, what? Sorry.
I almost had a brain bleed on that one.
Yeah. Look at the traffic there.
Oh yeah, it's a traffic light. To be stopped by some random a-hole and ask questions.
Sorry, that looks like a fucking DUI checkpoint. That's not a traffic light to me. And Joe Black, you are correct. Furry got arrested, but you know what? She's gonna kick that. Furry Potato is gonna kick that charge's ass because of the context of how it was uttered.
She is my all-time favorite trans person in alt media right now. Second favorite, I have to say, I love Blair White's, but you know, Furry Potato, she is my second favorite trans person in alt media. She's awesome, very brave.
I love Furry Potato's attitude to a lot of stuff. So, but let us go ahead and get this wrapped up.
Traffic light doesn't query me though as to what I'm doing or why.
True, but we're not asking you what you're doing or why. We're just asking you a simple question: are you a citizen of the United States, or of what country are you?
Bullshit! Bull! shit, huge, steaming pile of bullshit. A mountain of fucking bullshit.
Yeah, what Bunny said.
How many videos have we seen where they ask more than just that inquiry?
Of course. See, they know, they full well know by their experience as a law enforcement officer that virtually no one knows their civil rights. So they're going to get away with all manner of searches and in the realm of casual conversation, be able to, you know, finesse people into letting them look in their trunks and all sorts of other fun stuff. I think any cop that would actually say this with a straight face while a camera's running or actually work in one of these checkpoints should go to the icebox, freeze a turd, and stab themselves in the neck with a shit sickle.
Yeah, a bullshit sickle. But yeah.
Yeah, bullshit sickle to the neck. Just plunge it in there. Have some dignity. You know, just kill yourself.
Oh, but at some point, I would love maybe next year to just do a nice little trip around the nation, maybe on a motorcycle or something like that, and go through these Border Patrol checkpoints and give them the silent treatment.
There's this one fella that ran a YouTube channel that I really love.
Robert Turdell.
Yep. Yeah, 4409 Robert Turdell. Yeah, that stuff is amazing. Like he's the king of that kind of audit.
Oh,
you know?
Well, it wasn't really an audit, and he's off his rocker, unfortunately. But he really did a good job at at documenting it with all the camera angles and all that stuff. Yes,
my only experience with him is just looking at those videos, and I thought that was kind of a checkpoint system, but not technically, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's continue on.
A citizen international.
But you will delay my moving forward until I give you some response.
Which the courts have affirmed that we're allowed to do.
No, they haven't. No, what the courts have affirmed.
We're allowed to tyrannize Americans.
What they affirmed is they can sit there and ask you the question. You do not have to respond. In which case, if they detain you, then you automatically go into the Terry v. Ohio issue.
Yep. And then there's a reasonable time that they're allowed to detain.
Yes.
There's a standard.
No, I think I got to review that dang case. There is one Air Force guy who took it to the courts. I have to double check because I may be inaccurate in that aspect and reread it. I actually have the, I think the court decision up on my thing or something like that. No, it was like the oral arguments being played out. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, at that point, it's time to start the old mantra we love to hear. What's your reasonable, articulatable suspicion that I've committed a crime, officer? Am I free to go? You know, am I free to go until their head explodes? You know.
Well, also keeping a stopwatch going too, and that's also one of the other big things there that screwed up over the Batosai with his case. Is there was no way nothing he had sort of documenting the time that he was being detained, and if he had live streaming was still in its infancy at that time point, but if he had something like that going, he would have had the time documented he was stuck in the back of that car.
That's why I adore my police body camera that has the timestamp at the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's a very important thing because because when it ends, and then the next time you start it up, right when you get released, that will document the time that you're in their custody.
Mm-hmm.
That the important part is having that aspect, and that is another big issue is having that documented. That time for the Fifth Circuit, that's going to be the important part because the longer you've been detained or whatever, arrested,
that's your punitive damages.
Yep, that's punitive damages.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's continue this.
The checkpoint in Maine did apprehend an undocumented immigrant, but Harmon couldn't say how many Americans had to be stopped and questioned to make that happen. Meanwhile, in neighboring New...
Well, I mean, they got one. And on a busy day on a highway, how many cars do you think usually passes through at any given point on a busy highway?
I don't know. I don't know how it's up there. The number's crazy.
I could say this much. Usually you'll watch about, within a 10-minute time span, you're looking at near 100 vehicles if not more. So, talk about time and effort. Yeah, I don't think the amount of resources expanded on that's really worth it. Anyway, let's continue.
New Hampshire, Justin Summers was eventually released and says he'd do it all again. After all, he lives in a state whose motto is live free or die.
And I don't want to be a nation of checkpoints. I don't want to be a nation where you have to prove that you have the right to be where you are doing your daily activities.
The U.S. Border Patrol up here says, for now, the checkpoints are going to continue. The ACLU has some advice if you run across one. As an American, you don't have to give an answer. But if you don't answer, be aware you'll likely be detained. And even though the law says you can only be detained briefly, well, your idea of briefly and the Border Patrol's idea of briefly could be very different.
Not if you're wearing a stopwatch on your camera somehow, like.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it was the Terry
30 minutes, I believe.
Well, I think it was like actually like 26 minutes or something like that.
26 minutes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Just under 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was just under 30 minutes. And so if we can apply that same standard to that, yeah, they're going to be screwed on that aspect. I don't know if that's actually been was argued in the other case. So yeah.
Somebody should invent a little foam hand that's like a middle finger that you can press, and a little trap door will open on your dashboard. No, not your dashboard, but your hood, and a middle finger will just kind of rise up, you know, like that for when people like get stuck in these checkpoints or whatever, they can just press their little button and the middle finger raises up. I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah. But anyway, let's actually cover something local that you actually had a video on. So we'll do that as a wrap up here at a last event, because it also goes into normalizing the checkpoint stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can't get in yet.
Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. Good.
Going incognito, Mike?
Oh, you know, well, I'm testing out the new tactical vest for the Canon unit.
I like it. You gotta molly some shit on the side. Though.
I'm gonna do that. I just got this in the mail, and I'm doing a camera. Seriously, on the dog.
To all of you?
Yes.
Did you have fun last weekend?
Honestly, I wouldn't call it fun.
Downtown.
What's up?
I saw you downtown.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it fun. How many won? No, upstairs killing people. Enforcement dealies on mass transit, basically just normalizing tyranny. A lot of times these officers will be here with a canine unit smelling people, you know. Yeah, so just acclimating the populace to your papers please, your papers please.
Now, I don't know how well you guys heard that. He stated that they're acclimating people to being checked. They got a dog smelling people, and they're doing papers, please. Why don't you explain a little bit more about that, Mike, of what they are, specifically asking for?
Sure. TriMet hires the Portland Police Transit Police to work with their TriMet security folks, and they set up these fare enforcement deals where they'll go onto a mass transit platform and they'll pile up a bunch of cops at one end and a bunch of cops at the other, and effectively ask every single person for their papers, persons, and effects, meaning the proof that they bought the max ticket, and then they, you know, in casual conversation, they have the person there. They're like, "Oh yeah, can I see your ID?" Or, "Hey, do you mind if I pat you down for weapons?" And it's a slippery slope of tyranny from there. They also set up the same kind of checkpoints at bus stops in Portland, where they'll get 8 officers, and when the bus pulls into the bus stop, they'll get 2 officers in the back of the bus walk in the door, and 2 officers will walk in the front of the bus, and they'll ask every single person for their papers, please, their papers, please. And it's basically acclimating the citizens of the city of Portland to acquiesce to this constant badgering by law enforcement. And, you know, they're always going after people that can't afford a max ticket. And one of the things I find locally in the politics here is that there was a FOIA request for the arrest of Portland Police Bureau in 2017, and half of their arrests were all homeless people. Many of them busted in these fair enforcement dealies or busted in homeless camps, and that's ridiculous. Homeless people represent like 1 or 2% of the population, yet they're half of the arrests. So yeah, they're picking on the poor and acclimating us to be used to being tormented. But they actually catch somebody here because they run their name, couldn't afford the max ticket, and you're about to watch that if Bunny will just let the next 2 minutes roll.
I was just gonna stop on this point because my back's starting to really
okay, that's fine. Yeah. I got you, brother. We can wrap it up.
Yeah, but the thing is what I wanted to point out with this is they're asking for generally your ticket, which understandable. I actually say, yeah, that's legal. That's understandable. You got to pay a fare to use the train, the bus, and generally they're going to want to see that you have that proof on you to use that. That's understandable. I do that all the time. I've used mass transit. I understand the paying for it, pay to use on that aspect. The part that I have a problem with is the asking for ID part.
And the dog smelling everyone.
Yeah, and then the dog spelling part. Now, I have a personal issue with it, yes, but is it legal? In my opinion, yes, I do think it is legal. Do I like it? Hell no. And it's sort of on the same grounds. I mean, because the thing is you're out in public. So if someone's got a bomb sniffing dog or a drug sniffing dog and it hits on you while you're out in public, well, guess what? You didn't really have that. You don't have a right to privacy where your smell's not going out into the damn public.
I agree and disagree, like Bunny, because it's a semi-public space, and also if you're on the train and police pile on one end of the train and pile on the other end, you have nowhere to go. So essentially, what they're saying with their bodies and their weapons and all that is, "Hey, we're going to detain everybody on this train because your movement is blocked."
Oh, and that aspect, yes, I also disagree. Thank you for reminding me. I mean, blocking you from getting off the thing just to see, hey, we want to see your ticket. Well, maybe they don't want to be on there anymore and trying to leave. Yeah, I mean, but
it's like turning mass transit into a mobile prison.
Yeah, yeah, literally, it's like, okay, I get it. You're pulling off the state. I can't leave. Yes, we want to see all your stuff. I'm just like, fuck you. And I would love a chance to run up there and ride the mass transit and just stumble upon one of these.
We need to do some secret agent Bunny stuff where we get you a small body camera and have you test them to see exactly how they're going to treat you, because you're not recognized by the police here, and I think that would be very great media. We should make that happen.
What I should do is get enough. Either use up a ton of my items down here and just come up there to Portland, ride around on the bus, bus or train there until I run across one while playing Pokemon Go. I'll just spin circles as I pass by. Yeah.
Oh, we can play Pokemon Go around the FBI building.
Yeah, that too. What are you doing with your cell phone out? I'm playing Pokemon Go.
Damn it, I'm in a gym. Leave me alone.
But anyway, we might as well go ahead and wrap this up so I can get out of this chair, stretch my back, maybe lay down, and also not roast myself in the oven of the room I'm in. Mike, why don't you go ahead and plug your spiel, and I'll finish us off.
Sure. If you guys are listening to this or hearing this or watching this on Bunny's channel, please mosey over to my channel, subscribe, and maybe click on that notification bell. Because Mikey's starting to get depressed. You know, I mean, at this point, I could actually get more watching my videos if I set up a little table on a busy street corner and ushered people over to watch my videos. Also, if you'd like to keep Mikey in economic, you know, a hangnail away from economic ruin, it'd be nice if you'd wag your bony little finger over there underneath some of my videos and subscribe to my Patreon. All right, that's about all I got to say. Bye. I love you guys, and I'm sorry I can't do more strategic non-compliance, but once a month is all I can muster because of all the other work I'm doing. Thanks for watching, people. And as always, I'm so grateful for my bunny boots, my benevolent co-host. You know, thanks, Bunny.
I'm very malevolent at times. So anyway, but anyway, I don't think they retired the weed drug dogs over here in Oregon just because they could smell weed, because they usually train them to smell other drugs. Anyway, and I do love your joke about, do you have a rare candy, Mr. FBI? But as is,
hey, Bunny.
Yeah.
You know who my favorite officer is?
Who?
Officer Down.
I am not. That one's flying over my head, unfortunately.
Officer Down, when that's what they call over the radio when someone shoots a...
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
Anyway.
I love the police.
Anyway, getting back on track. As is, we try to do strategic non-compliance once a month. We usually aim for the first of Wednesday of each month, but that might shift depending on how things are going. Like the protest stuff that happened at the end of last month threw a kink in that. Might throw a kink in it this next month also. Hard to say, but we'll try to get it at least once a month. And generally tries the first there. Beyond that point, you can catch me live streaming my First Amendment tests and all that stuff on any of my 5 channels: YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, or Stream.me. So this way you have a chance of catching something if something goes on. If you want to be able to catch one of my live streams and be notified right away, I recommend either following me on Twitter or follow me on Twitch, because those 2 platforms will let you know real quick, especially if you have a cell phone or a mobile device that gives you a little ding saying, yo, Bunny Boots Inc. has made this message has started doing a live stream, so that way you know what's going on. As is, First Amendment Fridays, I try to do every Friday and have it out in the morning. Doesn't always happen. And yes, I plan on eating tacos. Bunny eating tacos is considered a hate crime. No, Bunny eating tacos is not considered a hate crime. Bunny eating tacos is an enjoyable, happy bunny that is rejuvenating his energy. And I do love my tacos. Yeah. Anyway, as is, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. You guys have a nice weekend. Enjoy it. I'm getting roasted at 90-degree weather along with the rest of the West Coast, enjoying this nice heat wave. Get out there. Enjoy yourselves. Go drinking or bar hopping, because I sure as hell can't afford it this month. All right, guys, have a nice weekend. And later.